Never let anyone treat you like a yellow starburst. You are a pink starburst.
You can't have a $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic.
It's okay to be a glow stick. Sometimes we need to break before we shine.
Life isn't Burger King. You can't always have it your way.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Be a pineapple, stand tall, wear a crown, and be sweet on the inside.
Hello students, welcome to our video on metaphors. We'll start today with the definition. A metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two unlike things, saying that one thing is another thing. It does not use like or as. Metaphors are a major part of our everyday language. We use them to connect the new to the familiar, to create a connection between what we already know and are familiar with to something new being described. You know what they mean, so you understand what I'm trying to say by using them. In fact, in his TED Talk, Metaphorically Speaking, James Geary claims that we use 6 metaphors per minute in normal conversation. I know that as a teacher, I use metaphors all the time to help explain concepts and skills to students. Again, it's all about that connection between new material and what we're already familiar with. Let's examine some uses of metaphor in our everyday conversations. We often use sports metaphors to talk about the success or failure of something, such as, "You really knocked that one out of the park," or "I was blindsided by that information," or "I finally feel like we're reaching the finish line on this project." We use metaphors to describe people. If someone is moody, they are hot and cold. If they have an attitude, they are salty. And if they don't seem very nice, we call them cold-hearted. Someone who is kind is an angel, and someone who is spoiled is a princess. We call diverse societies melting pots. We complain when we wake up to everything covered in a blanket of snow. When something is easy, we call it a walk in the park that we sail through. These are all metaphors. Here's a personal example. Everyone knows that Miss Heitman is a real bear in the morning before her first cup of coffee. So what is the metaphor in this sentence? I am being compared to a bear. Why? Because a bear is a fierce animal you wouldn't want to mess with. Everyone knows you give a bear their space, or you subject yourself to their wrath. This clearly shows how irritable I can be without my morning coffee. Now let's practice identifying metaphors in a poem. We're going to look at the poem Dreams by Langston Hughes. The subject of this poem is dreams and what life is like without them. I think you'll be able to find the metaphors easily. First, let's read the poem together. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. If we look back at this poem to identify the metaphors, we can see several. In the first stanza, I noticed the metaphor comparing life to a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. If I break that down to determine meaning, I'm going to use my background knowledge. Remember, connecting the new to the familiar. So I'm familiar with the fact that birds' sole method of transportation and what makes them unique to other animals is their ability to fly. If a bird can't fly, it sort of loses its purpose and is limited in what it can achieve. By making this comparison, we know that if we don't have dreams in our lives, something to work for, we're going to be limited in our potential and won't have a clear purpose to keep going. The other big metaphor here is in the second stanza. Again, it's a comparison to life without dreams. Here, the metaphor is, when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. The meaning here is similar, and again, we're going to connect the familiar to the new comparison. Since we all live in Nebraska, we're familiar with what a barren or empty field frozen with snow looks like. It's not very uplifting as an image. It seems empty and hopeless, right? By comparing a life without dreams to this barren, frozen landscape, we can get the sense that our lives are hopeless and empty, perhaps even depressing if we don't hang on to our dreams. Bottom line here, dreams are important. Keep dreaming, folks. So now let's recap. A metaphor is the comparison of two unlike things, saying that one thing is another thing. It does not use like or as. In other words, we create metaphors by talking about one thing, by describing something else. Remember that metaphors aren't just a big deal in poetry, we also use them all the time in our regular conversations. They help to create an image and connect the new to the familiar. As you read poetry and even as you participate in conversations with friends, pay attention to the way metaphor is used all around you. Happy metaphor hunting!